Hello, everyone. My name is Rubal Walia, and I'd like to welcome you to our Citrix Ready technical webinar with Nutanix tonight. In this webinar, we'll learn how to radically enhance the delivery of virtual applications and desktops, and we talk about how Nutanix and Citrix can help you do that. I see some folks are still joining in, so I'll just give them a couple of minutes to settle down, and we'll resume. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Citrix Ready technical webinar series. Uh, I'd like to introduce you to two fantastic speakers that we have on our webinar tonight. We have James Su, who's the Senior Technology Architect at Citrix, and we have Prashant Batra, who's the Principal Product Manager at Nutanix. And today our two speakers will talk through how you can radically enhance the delivery of virtual applications and desktops using Nutanix and Citrix. Before I hand over the mic to the speakers, I'd like to uh, summarize what Citrix Ready does and what this technical webinar is all about. If you could move to the next slide, please. So Citrix Ready is a program at Citrix which talks about technology partnerships with third-party uh, technology companies. So our aim is really to kind of build out a resource for you where you can evaluate verified partner products, and it typically provides you a platform to make better Citrix purchasing decisions. Uh, we have a vast resource of these products and solutions listed down on our marketplace. And if you'd like to understand a little bit more about a program, I've also listed down a URL at the bottom of this slide. Just a few housekeeping details. We will be recording this webinar and send you a recording within 24 hours of when we end this webinar. In case you have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to use the question and answer panel. We would be taking those questions at the end of our webinar. So that's what Citrix Ready is about. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to hand it over to James to kick this off. James, over to you.
Thank you. So we're going to start with a little conversation regarding what is Citrix Workspace, right? So Citrix delivers a unified user experience across any device, however user choose to work, and give them access to their application. And creating this secure digital workspace allow enterprise to achieve whatever that they required in order to process their day-to-day business. Now, at the same time, our goal is not just satisfying the user's requirement in terms of accessing the application, but also providing IT with a very simplified control and allow them to choose wherever they want to execute or run the actual workload to support their users. And this is the basic objective of creating this secure digital workspace for Citrix. Now, one of the key components that we focused on in this year is creating this Citrix Cloud. And think of a Citrix Cloud as a control plane. Okay, it spans multiple services inside the product portfolio. In this particular webinar, actually, what we're going to focus on is the Zen App and Zen Desktop services, which is actually listed in the middle of this diagram. Now, the focus over here is obviously talk about how we can leverage the ZenDesktop and ZenApp to allow your user to securely access their application and data or in virtual desktops in leveraging the Citrix Cloud services. Now, with the ZenApp and ZenDesktop service, the focus of here is empowering user to work. All right, and when customers talking about bringing their own devices to work, they want to be able to use whatever equipment that they have, either on-prem in the office or also at home using their own personal devices. Business now have the challenge that they need to be able to support that. And ZenApp and ZenDesktop is a great tool to allow customer to achieve these requirements in their empowering their workspace. Now, besides the BYO scenario, bring your own devices scenarios, there's also quite a lot of requests about how do we secure the content or the information that the enterprise own. And by having the data and the application hosted in the data center, which creates a virtual secure parameters and prevents other potential leakage due to like device thefts and all those scenarios. So it's a very strategic component in order to achieve the mobile work style and also at the same time still maintain a good quality of security parameters around the customer's deployment. And that's the basic, the main focus really to implement our ZenDesktop and ZenApp in the workspace. Now, traditionally, the ZenApp and ZenDesktop deployment requires some backend services, okay? And they typically reside either on-prem in the customer's data center, or a customer can choose to implement the entire stack of the product in their choice of cloud service provider, infrastructure service provider. So in the case that the administrator will have to take on the challenges of maintaining and also installing and implementing, updating all these components from end to end, right? And the customer will typically have to pay the perpetual license of the Citrix product, and then they will buy annual support in order to help them maintain the actual implementation that they have in the environment. But most of the administration of upgrading and maintaining the services is on the hands of the administrator of the enterprise, right? And as you can see here on the top line of the product, you see the delivery controller, SQL database, Studio, Director. All these are the backend services that are required in order to deliver all these desktop infrastructure to the end user. Now, what is Citrix Cloud set to do is to address some of these concerns and also freed up some of the operation task from the administrator and transforming the ZenApp and ZenDesktop services to be a more flexible deployment model that the customer can choose however they want to execute their practices, right? So as you can see on the top end of the infrastructure that we saw in the previous slide in the traditional deployment, now all these components that was installed previously on-prem are now elevated into the cloud services, which is maintained and managed and upgrade by Citrix. So Citrix will basically maintain all the delivery controller version updates, Studio and Director, license server, all these components traditionally maintained by the IT is now offered as a service and completely hosted as a cloud infrastructure. Now, what gets deployed on-prem or in the infrastructure of the choice of the customer is these Citrix Cloud connectors. So the connectors are basically a proxy server that basically proxies all these commands that is required in order to orchestrate the creation of the virtual desktop or creation of the virtual application server, and allow customer to publish all these resources and content to the users. All right. So this significantly reduces the amount of infrastructure the administrator will need to support and also maintain, and simplifies the update and also maintenance cycle for their desktop and app services. So what exactly customers asking for today is they want to have a simple way of adopting a cloud-first strategy, which is allowing them to provide some of the infrastructure directly using the cloud, if possible, right? And we're designing our Citrix Cloud surrounding these 5 major requests. So the first one is adopting cloud-first strategy. The second one is actually allowing customers to choose where they want to run the infrastructure, and by deploying 2 simple connectors in each of the infrastructure, they will be able to all aggregate all those resources together in the Citrix Cloud, which simplifies the implementation for the deployment use cases. Now, the other thing that the customer is highly concerned about is some of the IT constraints, like how much I have to maintain the amount of components that are needed in order to deploy Zen Desktop and Zen App and on-prem infrastructure. When we expand to the cloud, we don't necessarily want to add more of those burdens onto the IT. And so by having these offered as a cloud services, it significantly reduces the amount of workload that the administrator need to do in order to maintain all these different locations. And speed, time to value is obviously a key criteria as well. By simplifying those administrative tasks, indirectly will reduce the amount of time IT need to spend in order to implement the solutions. And at the end, take away some of the burdens on upgrading and managing the resources in order to keep up with the future releases as well. Okay. Now, the latest news is that Nutanix has announced the release of their very first Citrix Workspace appliance with their AOS 5.5 release. Now, in this release, they are actually integrating the Citrix Cloud and Zen Desktop services, okay, Zen App and Zen Desktop services into a very easy to deploy solution called Nutanix Instant On for Citrix Cloud. Okay, so the idea here is that having Citrix Cloud, Zen Desktop and Zen App services managed in the Citrix Cloud, and then connecting to the Nutanix appliances as a resource zone to run the actual workload. So it really simplifies the the setup process. The administrator basically will click through a couple of simple questions, and then they will be able to actually deploy the entire Citrix Cloud solution onto Nutanix appliance in a very short period of time. Okay. So what is the sort of a deployment strategy? What does it look like? We start with the Citrix Cloud services. So customer will basically subscribe or purchase the Citrix Cloud services. And once they activate the service, the administrator will be able to start with a Nutanix appliance with the agent that will be deploying the Citrix Cloud connectors. Once the cloud connector is deployed via the Nutanix appliance, they will be able to report up to our delivery controller, and the administrator will be able to resume the creation of all the workloads, such as the server VDA and also desktop VDA, and connecting to the existing Active Directory services in order for them to publish all these resources. And the end result is that the customer will be able to realize this full stack of implementation in a very short amount of time, and the customer will be basically able to get their service delivered to the user in a matter of hours, instead of traditionally it would take days for the administrator to implement in an on-prem full implementation. So, so at this point, I'm going to pass the presentation to Prashant.
Thank you, James. That was a wonderful overview of all the innovation that's been happening on the Citrix cloud side. Well, hello, everyone. This is Prashant from Nutanix Product Management. And in that capacity as a product manager for Nutanix, one of the things that I do is work very closely with Citrix and build solutions for a seamless VDI deployment. One of those things that we've been doing with Citrix is this notion of building a Citrix workspace appliance, what is now branded as a Nutanix Instant Owned for Citrix Cloud. And what this is that it is a true hybrid cloud VDI solution. This picture that you look in front of you, it's really two components. The upper part of this picture is the Citrix Cloud, which is a seamless way for Citrix to provide VDI management services or the VDI control plane to you to help manage your VDI infrastructure. So unlike the traditional XenApp and desktop deployment, where the value proposition has always been tremendous, running XenApp and XenDesktop has always been a little bit of a challenge, right? Because it has a number of these components that you deploy and you manage, and then you have to keep them up to date. And in today's world, where every few days there is an OS vulnerability, there is a chip vulnerability, to keep all of these going to make sure everything is strong and secure becomes a little bit of a nightmare, if I may, right? So Citrix stepped up, understood the need for today's technology landscape, and essentially took away that complexity of managing the control plane from you and took that charter on its own, right? And provided Citrix Cloud. What Nutanix is now doing is providing the underlying data plane for that control plane. So as you consume Citrix Cloud as a cloud service, you still need a resource zone where you want to provision those desktops and applications so that users can be productive. As you think of that data plane where you want to spin up those desktops, you want to spin up those applications, you basically have two choices. You could create a complete public cloud rollout, which means your desktops and applications are also being spun up in the cloud. That's absolutely a viable solution, and for that you could use the excellent integration that Citrix Cloud has with Microsoft Azure, with Amazon AWS, with Google GCP, and you could use any of these public cloud planes to spin up your desktops and applications. The only challenge there is that apart from the certain industries where regulatory concerns come in, where governance becomes an issue, where data security and visibility becomes an issue, but even beyond that, for an everyday enterprise, you really want to make sure that your VDI has a great end user experience. So where you spin up your desktops needs to be where your data and applications are. For some of the new age enterprises which are building cloud native applications, spinning up desktops in the cloud, which are basically a front end to those cloud native applications, makes absolute sense. For most of the other enterprises where your data and application is actually on premise in your data centers, spinning up desktops in the cloud makes no logical sense. That is where Nutanix is providing this hybrid cloud VDI solution in collaboration with Citrix to ensure that your desktops and applications are spun up on premise near where your data and applications are, so that you provide a great end user experience, a secure VDI rollout to your users. And that is the notion of a hybrid cloud VDI solution from Citrix and Nutanix. Now, some of you may ask, isn't the reason I decided to go to Citrix Cloud in the first place is because I wanted a cloud solution? Well, that's correct. What Nutanix is offering is not any different from what a public cloud offers you. With Nutanix, you are no longer rolling out your desktops and applications on certain servers and storage arrays that you have to manage on premise. What we deliver is a private cloud solution. So while you manage this infrastructure on premise, we call this the private cloud. And what makes a certain set of nodes, or certain set of servers a private cloud is the fact that this cluster of nodes that you're deploying on premise, from your day-to-day management experience, for your day-to-day operational experience, actually provides you the same characteristic, the same ease, the same simplicity, the same consumption model as the public cloud. So what is really cloud consumption, right? Public clouds became really popular because they made infrastructure invisible. In the public cloud, you don't worry about how many storage arrays you have, how many nodes you're spinning up. All of that happens in the background, right? It's the simplicity of consumption. You don't worry about the hypervisor and maintaining the hypervisor. That becomes a commodity. You let the infrastructure provider manage that for you seamlessly. With Nutanix, we provide you the exact same experience. Cloud is about subscription-based licensing, about pay-as-you-grow experiences so that you can start small, let's say with 100 user VDI, and as business takes off, you can keep adding capacity to your cloud and keep growing your VDI in a seamless fashion. We're going from 100 to 200 to 400 to 1,000 users to 10,000 users is as simple as clicking a button somewhere, and the VDI experience continues to be seamless. These are the characteristics of this hybrid cloud VDI solution from Citrix and Nutanix, hence providing you a complete cloud-like experience, a complete cloud-like simplicity, but with complete control of your data and applications on-premise, so that you are no longer worried about governance, you're no longer worried about control, about security, and that you deliver a great VDI end user experience because your desktops are where your data and applications are. Next slide, James. Next slide, James.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. I guess it's transitioning. Beautiful.
Yep.
So with this notion of a hybrid cloud VDI solution, as James already pointed out, Citrix and Nutanix worked closely together and launched what is now called as the Nutanix Instant Own for Citrix Cloud. Under the Citrix Ready program, Citrix launched an umbrella program called Citrix Workspace Appliance. And the notion of a Citrix Workspace Appliance is to certify vendors in the industry, certify hyper-converged infrastructure or the HCI appliance vendors in the industry, which are building a seamless experience for consuming Citrix Cloud. All the benefits I talked about creating a hybrid cloud solution with a private cloud on-premise, that simplicity, that consumption model, that seamless integration with Citrix Cloud that I talked about, is something that Citrix certifies under the umbrella called Citrix Workspace Appliance. Nutanix is the industry's first Citrix Workspace Appliance that provides that seamless integration with Citrix Cloud, provides a one-click provisioning. In a slide or two, I'll show you what that provisioning experience looks like, but it's pretty much about saying, going to the Nutanix console and saying, connect to the Citrix Cloud, and the next thing you know, your private cloud in the data center is plugged into your Citrix Cloud, and you can start provisioning applications and desktops just like you expected from a cloud solution, right? So Nutanix Instant On for Citrix Cloud is an integrated hybrid cloud solution from Citrix and Nutanix with one-click Citrix Cloud integration. As you consume this hybrid VDI solution from Citrix and Nutanix, you have a choice of hypervisors you can consume. You can go with the Citrix Zen Server solution, which is Citrix's hypervisor fine-tuned and tailored for Citrix deployments, or you can choose the AHV or the Acropolis hypervisor from Nutanix. Both of these hypervisors come with the open source legacy. Zen Server emerged from the Zen Source project out of the open source community. In a manner similar to that, the Nutanix AHV hypervisor is a hypervisor that's built on the KVM open source hypervisor and provides a best of breed experience. With both these hypervisors, you are in a position where hypervisor is not a thing that you have to pay for. There is no vTax to pay here. There is no complexity around maintaining and running and optimizing a hypervisor, because with AHV as a solution, we have basically baked that into Nutanix as a product. So when you deploy the solution, you no longer worry about the hypervisor, you worry about the VDAs, right? Hypervisor is built into this layer, just like you expect from Amazon AWS or Microsoft Azure. And lastly, the solution provides you subscription-based licensing. So what that means is that part of the motivation to go to the cloud is a change of consumption model from a CapEx heavy model to slowly start moving towards OpEx models, moving from perpetual licensing to subscription licensing. And through this solution, you basically make that transition into a consumption model that's more preferable in our tech economy today. Next slide, James. So as we transition to the next slide, you will see the console that appears in front of you is the Nutanix Prism console. This is the Nutanix management console once you deploy a node or a cluster. This is built into the appliances. So as soon as an appliance is an IP and you connect to it, this is the Prism console that you basically manage your appliances, your private cloud from. This is your hypervisor management solution. This is your planning solution. So a lot of those operational management solutions are built into a single console, providing you a single pane of glass to manage your storage, to manage compute, to manage virtualization, to manage networking, and to manage end-to-end, day-to-day cloud-like simplicity. One of the things that we introduce now in our console, when you go to settings, is this notion called Connect to Citrix Cloud. When you click Connect to Citrix Cloud, essentially we pop up a form which says, point us to the cloud portal that belongs to you. You provide your Citrix Cloud credentials, and the next thing we connect to Citrix Cloud. This Connect to Citrix Cloud, essentially what it does is that it spins up Citrix Cloud Connector VMs, which become an interface between your private cloud on-premise, powered by Nutanix, and your Citrix Cloud, creating a persistent connection or a persistent SSL channel between your private cloud and the Citrix Cloud. The next thing you know, as the Citrix Cloud admin, you go to your Studio console, you create a catalog, you point to a resource zone that is now represented by your Nutanix private cloud, and you start provisioning your applications and desktops. It's literally that seamless, which is the promise that the Citrix Workspace Appliance program promises. Next slide, please. Nutanix Instance for Citrix Cloud is yet another solution that emerges from Citrix and Nutanix together. Over the last couple of years, Citrix and Nutanix have worked very closely together and have certified a number of these joint solutions together. Today, the Nutanix platform is certified to run Citrix NetScalers, Citrix Storefront, Citrix Zen Desktops and App Delivery Controllers, Citrix Studio Directory and Edge Site, Citrix ShareFile, and all the SQL Server AD infrastructure that goes into creating your Citrix deployment. All these are workloads that are officially certified and tested by Citrix and Nutanix for a joint solution. As you deploy Zen App and Zen Desktop on Nutanix, we support all the typical popular deployments of Citrix, which is your on-premise Zen App and Desktop deployments with NCF as the provisioning methodology, or with PVS as the provisioning methodology. Both are supported. And with Nutanix Instance on Citrix Cloud, now we support a Citrix Cloud-based deployment for true hybrid cloud VDI simplicity. Now, Nutanix is a company built on the foundation of choice, built on the foundation of simplicity, right? So Nutanix builds its own appliances to begin with. We build our own appliances that consumers can consume and start building private clouds on. But at the end of the day, Nutanix is a software company. What we build is a software-defined HCI software layer that can take any industry x86-based nodes and transform them into a true web-scale computing distributed system cluster. So in that capacity, a way to consume Nutanix is actually to work with your choice of OEM vendors, be it Dell, be it IBM, Lenovo, HP, Cisco, and consume their hardware and simply buy Nutanix as a software from Nutanix, deploy Nutanix in a turnkey experience because we have collaborations with all these top vendors, OEM vendors in the industry. You can actually consume their appliances with a turnkey experience of Nutanix software built into those appliances. So when you build your private cloud, you're not restricted to buying appliances from Nutanix. You can go with your favorite OEM of choice today. You can buy appliances from them, and Nutanix is a software layer basically that transforms that piece of CPU and piece of storage essentially into a distributed system fabric that then transforms into your private cloud. Next slide, please. So as we talked about cloud, one thing that we love saying here at Nutanix is that, look, cloud is not a destination. Sometimes when we talk in the industry, we hear initiatives with the enterprise saying we need to go to the cloud. When you say I need to go to the cloud, cloud is not a destination. Going to AWS is not the only way to go to cloud, right? It's not a place to go to. Cloud is a consumption methodology. So depending on your business requirements, depending on your security requirements, depending on the legacy you have, either you can go to a public cloud, or you can bring those cloud-like behaviors, cloud-like economics, cloud-like scalability, cloud-like pay-as-you-grow models to your data center in form of a private cloud. So when we say Nutanix is a private cloud company, to some extent what that means is, let's say you were spinning up 400 desktops today. And for that, you don't really need to plan 5 years in advance, plan for all the growth that you expect in VDI and deploy all of that today. For 400 users, you will literally start with one block of Nutanix, which essentially contains, let's say, 4 nodes of Nutanix, supporting 400 desktops. As your requirements doubles over the next few months, over a year, and let's say you need 800 desktops, it's as simply as procuring one more block of Nutanix, plugging that in, and plugging a new block of Nutanix into an existing cluster is a seamless auto discovery experience where once you've racked the new block, the existing cluster automatically discovers the availability of a new block, automatically understands the amount of new CPU resources, the amount of new storage, the kind of network, and automatically plugs that block into your existing configuration and growing the size of your cluster available for creating more desktop pools, right? So to go from 400 to 800 desktops, you procure yet another block or a few nodes of Nutanix, plug it in, and the next thing you know, you have a 800 user deployment, and a 1200 user deployment, and a 10,000 user deployment. It literally scales like that, which is why we call this the private cloud, because you can start small and you can grow as your business requirements grow. Through all of this growth, the other aspect is that as you go from 400 to 800, 800 to 1200, a lot of times VDI solutions and VDI deployments will stall or not be successful is because if you did not plan well in advance, you were not able to tune your architecture for the right VDI end user experience. With Nutanix, as you go from 400 to 800 to 1200 to 2000 to 10,000, your experience remains exactly the same. So you start small, you keep growing, and through all of that, your VDI end user experience continues to be seamless. It's not going to fluctuate. You're not going to have users call in saying that till yesterday I had a 25-second desktop log on experience, but something's happened today because it seems to be taking forever for logging on. So all of the support nightmares are gone because Nutanix is optimized for Citrix delivery. Next slide, James. Apart from the scale-out methodology, the pay-as-you-go experience, another terrific experience that comes out simply from being a hyper-converged infrastructure, which means we are really converging. James, have you already transitioned to the next slide? I'm still looking at my scale-out slide. Awesome. Thank you. So being a hyper-converged infrastructure means that we have converged storage, networking, compute, and even virtualization into a single layer. James, we may have, yeah, perfect. And all of that leads to a massive footprint reduction in your power and space consumption, right? This is yet another advantage of going with an HCI private cloud solution from Nutanix, up to 90% less power and space. Next slide, please. A note that Nutanix and Citrix are working together to go beyond just a VDI deployment experience, right? So as Nutanix and Citrix started working together, we obviously made it seamless to deploy your VDI workloads, spinning up your desktops and applications, whether it be a traditional Xanabin desktop deployment on-premise, right? Or whether you are a new Citrix Cloud consumer, managing and deploying VDAs or your desktops and applications on your private cloud or your hybrid cloud has become seamless with this collaboration. But we are going a step further. We are looking at a turnkey experience of what does it mean to truly run a VDI farm. What does it mean to deploy desktops and applications to your user? As we look at that experience, one of the use cases that emerges is that for the users who are actually consuming these applications, who are actually accessing these desktops, a VDI deployment often also requires a network, a SAN or a NAS share, where you will then host the user's profiles, a user's home directories, departmental shares, all these typical ways of managing data with those desktops and applications, managing user profiles, which has traditionally been done on a NAS array, can now actually be set up on your Nutanix clusters in a turnkey experience with the same scale-out methodology for VDA that I talked about, built into your AFS solution. So what is AFS? AFS is the Acropolis File Services from Nutanix. AFS is basically a file service that's built into the same Nutanix Prism experience that you saw. On that Prism experience, again, with the same one-click simplicity, we provide an experience where you say provision Acropolis File Services, which automatically creates AFS file servers on your Nutanix clusters and connect them to your Citrix deployment. Now these AFS file shares are available to you to set up those user profiles, those home directories, those departmental shares that you have traditionally done with your NAS arrays, which means with Nutanix, you have managed to once again break down one more silo. So as the VDI team, as the VDI admin, you're no longer dependent on the NAS team, on the storage team to figure out why a certain share is not working, what went down, because all of that is in complete control of you as the VDI team, because it's built into your solution, it's built into your console, it's built into your experience. And even better, this is built with the same scale-out architecture that we talked about with the Nutanix VDA private cloud experience, which means as you grow from 400 to 800 users to 1,200 users to 10,000 users, AFS is also designed with the same scale-out architecture, which means as you need more AFS file servers to host all these shares, they're built with the same scale-out architecture, and you keep spinning up more and more with the same kind of user experience, right? So this is a true turnkey experience from Nutanix. Next slide, please. So with Citrix and Nutanix, essentially what we are building are simple, scalable, and secure solutions which drive savings for enterprises. The hybrid cloud VDI solution from Citrix and Nutanix is easy to deploy, both in terms of Citrix Cloud control plane and the private cloud data plane where you are actually spinning up your desktops and applications. They're easy to manage because of their cloud-like simplicity, where we are making infrastructure invisible. All the interactions between Citrix and your private cloud is automated with one-click experiences. So you get to deploy this solution in a matter of hours, not in days and weeks and months. The solution is designed for scalability. Again, both from a Citrix cloud control plane, as your business requirements go from hundreds of users to thousands of users, Citrix cloud is built for any scale. So you are no longer bothered about, do I have enough delivery controllers? Do I have enough NetScaler gateways? Am I tuned correctly from an infrastructure perspective? Same thing with the infrastructure. As you grow, you basically, like we discussed, you add new nodes and blocks to your private cloud. The private cloud automatically discovers new enhanced compute, storage, virtualization capacity and starts spinning up more desktops on this newly discovered capacity. The entire solution is designed to be secure so that the typical issues that come up from a governance perspective, from a visibility and security perspective, when you think of a public cloud solution, no longer apply here. So you get all the benefits of cloud with Citrix Cloud, with the private cloud managed by Nutanix. You get all the benefits of a public cloud, the pay-as-you-go model, the subscription licensing, OpEx-heavy models, invisible infrastructure. So you get all those benefits, but you do not lose out on security. Your desktop, your applications, your data is on-premise in complete control in your data center, right? So hybrid cloud VDI really brings best of breed solutions, which lies between your traditional on-premise solutions, where security was very high, but management complexity was also very high, and the new age public cloud-based offerings such as desktop as a service, where operational simplicity is fantastic. It's actually very easy to manage these things, but then you trade off in terms of security and in terms of feature richness and capability. With hybrid cloud VDI, you strike the best balance between these two worlds, providing a best of breed with excellent cloud-like simplicity and pay-as-you-go consumption model, at the same time providing you a secure VDI deployment, which is feature-rich and provides you everything that you expect from an enterprise-ready VDI solution. At the end of the day, with the subscription models, by moving CapEx budgets to OpEx, by saving on your hypervisor costs and not paying the vTax for hypervisor, which really has become a commodity in today's world, by reducing your day-to-day maintenance, by reducing the amount of personnel that really has to manage all of these things, by really making it simple so that your team can actually add value to business rather than complexity of infrastructure, you're creating a true, simple, scalable, secure solution to drive savings for your enterprise. Next slide, please. Citrix and Nutanix work very closely together. We have a strong corporate relationship between the two companies. We have onboarded thousands of customers in the last 2 years of having created a joint offering. We built joint roadmaps together. We built joint products together. In the last 2 weeks, we have actually launched the Citrix Cloud plugin, the one that powers Nutanix installed Citrix Cloud with AHV as a hypervisor. And even yesterday, Nutanix and Citrix launched together the PBS plugin for AHV, which means a lot of those PBS-based deployments can now leverage the Nutanix private cloud, Nutanix hybrid cloud solutions, even if you choose PBS as a provisioning service, and you get to choose AHV as a hypervisor of choice. Nutanix and Citrix today are running extremely large deployments. The largest VDI deployment on Nutanix today is roughly 70,000 seats, right? With these joint solutions, you get a healthy choice between AHV and Zen Server. Next slide, please. In the latest Magic Quadrant for Hyper-Converged Infrastructure 2018 that Gartner came up with, as you can see, Nutanix was absolutely the leader in the space. So Nutanix is on the far right and the far top, beating every other player in the industry, right? More than just the positioning, if you look at some of the comments that come from Gartner, having literally worked with customers, worked with partners, surveyed the industry, we get comments such as highly innovative and scalable architecture that is generationally advanced compared with most rivals. Flexibility in hypervisor choice with growing adoption in AHV based on KVM as customers seek a lower cost alternative to VMware ESXi. Proven user acceptance with high customer satisfaction resulting in repeat sales and high node counts of 100 plus in large global enterprise accounts. One of the most unique, differentiated things about Nutanix as a company is our Net Promoter Score that the support team generates. Nutanix support has consistently over the years had an NPS score or the Net Promoter Score of 90 plus. This is unparalleled in the technology industry. Companies like Google, companies like Apple generally tend to get scores of around 60 plus. For a technology company where your support is rated at an NPS of 90 plus, which means 90 people that we interact with, 90 deployments, customers that we deal with, truly believe in the solution that they're deploying, 90 out of 100, and would promote this as a solution to everyone that they talk to, is a massive, massive win for us and speaks not just to the quality of our products, but speaks to the quality of support and relationships that we build with our customers. Next slide, please. In a similar, in a 2017 survey that IDC did with Nutanix customers, where basically IDC picked up the phone and called a number of Nutanix customers and simply asked them what is that is moving them from 3-tier architecture to this new age hyper-converged infrastructure architecture, and in doing so, what kind of benefits are they seeing from their adoption of HCI solutions from Nutanix? This is the result. This is a summary of what IDC heard from our customers, stating that over a 5-year period, customers have seen more than 500% return on their investments with Nutanix, with an overall 60% lower total cost of ownership, which is driven from the simplicity of this architecture, the fact that you can start small, that you can grow as you need, the fact that it's so simple that your not just your CapEx investments go low, but your OpEx day-to-day investments become much simpler. But more importantly, they discovered that customers report up to 97% fewer unplanned outages, which means as IT admins, you actually don't, your Saturdays and Sundays, your weekends, you don't have to worry about what went wrong, about the latest fire that you have to douse. Your weekend is for the family, right? So 97% fewer unplanned outages is why our customers, the IT admins, the enterprise infrastructure teams absolutely love Nutanix. Next slide, please. To kind of summarize some of these things I talked about, I just want to visit a few customer quotes. Like I said, a 90 plus NPS reflects that Nutanix customers absolutely love the solutions that they're deploying with Nutanix and the kind of relationship they have with the company, which reflects in the customer quotes that you will see. Cardinal Innovations Healthcare says, we are receiving rave reviews from our virtual desktop users since we moved away from the 3-tier environment. Nutanix blows those desktops away with its high performance. Our Citrix architect will tell you it's nothing short of amazing. He simply loves Nutanix and the AHV hypervisor. In a similar manner, Rene Bigler, who's kind of a celebrity in the Citrix world, tweeted when the Citrix Cloud solution, when the Nutanix Instant On for Citrix Cloud solution was offered, and says, wow, that was easy. XenApp and Windows Top services from Citrix Cloud, hosting on-premise with Nutanix AHV clusters, setup of the environment and Windows 10 VDI deployment in less than 2 hours complete. That's the kind of experience you can expect from Nutanix Instant On for Citrix Cloud, where deploying your Citrix Cloud, super easy. Deploying your private cloud Nutanix, super easy. Connecting these two to work together for seamless VDI rollout, super easy. So now your deployments are a matter of hours, not a matter of weeks and months. That is the simplicity that the solution promises. Next slide, please. As you look to understand the power of the solution, the simplicity of the solution, the deeper aspects of this offering from Citrix and Nutanix, here are a few resources that you can kind of look to. As you get the slide deck, you should easily be able to kind of take a look at these resources, see if this solution from Citrix and Nutanix makes sense to you, is relevant to your business requirements, And if it is, of course, we look forward to engaging in a much deeper way with all of you. Next slide, please. Nutanix has built a very strong community, and we would love for you to be a lot more engaged with us. You can try the Nutanix experience by going to nutanix.com/test drive. You can schedule a follow-up with us, engage with our community, engage with us on Twitter. We absolutely look forward to engaging a lot more with you. Next slide, please. And with that, I kind of wrap up my part of really talking to what is Nutanix Instant On for Citrix Cloud and what is the value proposition that this solution promises to you. With that, Rubu, I think we should be able to open the floor for questions.
Thank you, Prashant. In fact, a very insightful presentation from you, and thank you, James, to you too for doing this. Personally, for me also, there were a few wow moments in the presentation, so thank you. So ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to now officially open the session for Q&A. If you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the questions panel. We have a few coming in, Prashant, a couple for you. The Nutanix Enterprise Cloud, so the question is the Nutanix Enterprise Cloud based out of Nutanix DCs?
Come again, Rubu?
Is the Nutanix Enterprise Cloud based out of Nutanix DCs?
Data centers. So Nutanix Enterprise Cloud is this promise of Nutanix building an enterprise cloud operating system that spans your private cloud, your public cloud, and everything in between, right? So Nutanix was born as an HCI or a hyper-converged infrastructure vendor where the key innovation, the key IP that we brought to the industry was software-defined storage. That HCI very soon became the foundation of a private cloud experience where we built on the HCI benefits with management tools of leveraging Nutanix Prism console on top of HCI to provide a cloud-like simple experience where your infrastructure became invisible. Now, Nutanix is on a path to merge private cloud and public clouds together, which means your applications that you're deploying, your desktop that you're deploying, should truly and seamlessly span and be mobile from private cloud to public cloud to private cloud, depending on your security and your business needs, your economic needs. And for that to really happen, you need a cloud operating system that spans private cloud and public cloud. That is what Nutanix calls as the enterprise cloud operating system, which is the foundation of the enterprise cloud solution from Nutanix that we are building down. Is enterprise cloud run out of Nutanix data centers? Yes and no. Enterprise cloud operating system is a software that as customers you will deploy in your own data centers to create this true mobility fabric between your private cloud, which is what you are deploying on the Nutanix infrastructure in your data center, and the public cloud of your choosing. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Prashant. I guess there's one question that we'd love to answer. Somebody has asked, how do I buy Nutanix Instant On for Citrix Cloud?
Right. So Nutanix Instant On for Citrix Cloud is not a packaging or a SKU that we have introduced. It's basically a true product integration between the Citrix Cloud and the Nutanix workspace appliances. Procuring this solution basically means that you work with Citrix and you procure Citrix Cloud. So let's say you want a 500 user rollout. So you go to Citrix and you will purchase Citrix Cloud 500 user licenses from Citrix, and you will work with Nutanix to procure the right amount of infrastructure to support those 500 appliances. What we have further done is that we have actually made a public tool called the Nutanix Sizer. This is a public tool available to all of you. Right now, if you Google Nutanix Sizer, you would find this tool on the Nutanix website. And what this tool does is it gives you a simple calculator which says, what kind of desktops or applications am I deploying on Nutanix? Is this Citrix? Is this a persistent desktop? within that persistent desktop, what kind of applications will I be deploying? So based on that, you will create a profile for the kind of desktops you want to spin up, the number of desktops you want to spin up, and having taken all of those as an input, the Nutanix sizer basically gives you an output which says, for this deployment, we recommend that you procure from Nutanix so many nodes and so many kinds of nodes. So you would basically get a complete end-to-end bill of material that you could provide to Nutanix and say, this is what meets my needs for running a 500-user deployment. How can I buy this? So you're still buying Nutanix and Citrix separately, but the product integration and the sizing integration that we've built across the two solutions makes it into a very seamless experience.
Great, thank you. James, this one's for you. Are the other Citrix cloud services shown on one of the slides included in this?
Yeah, so today, customer can choose to buy any of the additional cloud services in order to extend their practices and deployment. Now, obviously, in this particular webinar, we're focusing only on the XenApp and XenDesktop related cloud services. However, it will be as simple as a click of a button. They can actually enable all the other services such as share files or the Zen Mobile or additional cloud services that we have in the portfolio. On the share file side, I also want to mention is that we can highly leverage the Nutanix solution in order to extend the storage into the cloud as the customer's on-prem infrastructure to host their files that they're sharing in their environment as well. So it's a great value add together, in terms of using the Nutanix private cloud infrastructure.
Great, thank you. There's another one, probably a follow-up to this. Is the XenApp and XenDesktop service considered an enterprise version?
Yeah, so the version that we are currently offer as a service in the cloud today is considered as a platinum edition of the products. Yeah, and then obviously that covers the enterprise edition features. Yes.
Another one, James, are XenApp and XenDesktop service licenses per user, or are they concurrent?
Yeah, so today on the Citrix Cloud service, we are only offering name user licenses at the moment. Yeah.
Okay. Prashant, maybe this one's for you. Is this Nutanix Enterprise Cloud solution a full hypervisor with AHV, or is it only the Citrix Cloud connector?
So if the question is around hypervisor, Nutanix Instant On to Citrix Cloud is designed to work with Zen Server or the Nutanix AHV hypervisor. Either of the two hypervisors is a choice for this solution.
Okay, great. I think that's all the questions we have. So that leaves us with a couple of minutes. So thank you guys again for an insightful presentation. Before I wrap this up, I'd like to give you any final words. James, anything from you?
Yeah. So the takeaway of this webinar is, we want the customer to start thinking about adopting the cloud-based infrastructure services, and Nutanix is a great partner for us in this hybrid cloud deployment that a lot of customers are seeking for, and a great partner in our enterprise, on-prem private cloud. So leveraging Nutanix and Citrix together, we'll be able to realize a lot of the potential for your customer to deliver what we call the secure digital workspaces, and allow your user to be able to work from anywhere, from any device. And thank you for the opportunity for presenting with Prashant. Prashant, you want to say something?
Yeah, thank you, James. I think that's a wonderful summary. From my perspective, I just want to call out again, Citrix Cloud really simplifies the day-to-day operational management of your Citrix infrastructure. So to move from Citrix on-premise to a Citrix Cloud deployment is almost a no-brainer. And as you do that, you have a choice of going completely public cloud or a hybrid cloud VDI solution. As I look at the industry, I can clearly see that hybrid cloud VDI solutions bring a best-of-breed experience between your legacy old your legacy on-premise infrastructures where you had complete control, where you had a feature-rich solution, you had something very compelling, but it was complex to manage, to the new age where some of these things are becoming a complete public cloud-like solutions where, again, day-to-day operational simplicity is fantastic, but you lose out from a security, governance, from a user experience perspective because your data and applications are still on-premise. So to strike that perfect balance, to get that best-of-breed solution between these two worlds is this emerging notion of a hybrid cloud VDI solution. And in that new world of hybrid cloud VDI, Citrix and Nutanix have an extremely compelling offering that we are building towards, and we continue to work very closely with each other, providing true end-to-end innovation, trying to create turnkey, full-stack experiences for our customers, and we would love to engage at a much deeper level with all of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Prashant, and thanks again, James. And thanks to all of you, ladies and gentlemen, for taking the time out to listen to our webinar. I will be sending out the recording of the webinar within 24 hours. And in case you have any further questions, please feel free to write to us at citrixready@citrix.com, and we shall forward these questions to James or Prashant. Thank you. Have a good day. This concludes our session.
Thank you all.
Thank you.